welcome back to Eric the Entrepreneur. If you didn't watch the first video, go back and watch it so you can get a little update on exactly what all this is. But as you read in the title, this is kind of where the basis of my knowledge has come from, which is a lot of self-education, reading. And this is where I share it with you guys just to give myself a little bit of credibility behind where I get my philosophies, my thinking, and a lot of the information. There'll be plenty of other ways where I actually share where I get the information from, but today it's all about the books that I've read over time and have allowed myself to kind of figure out my own theories based off of theories of other people. So without further ado, the first book I have is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And if you haven't heard or read this book, then you live under a rock. So I'm sure a lot of you have heard about it. And this book right here is kind of what shaped everything for me. If you can get down with this book, then you can get down with me, because Robert Kiyosaki's the man when it comes to all things finance, self-help, and really just life in general. He kind of breaks it down the most simple way, all through storytelling. What I got from this book was the breakdown of assets versus liability, and also having a learning mindset when it comes to this whole situation of financial education, and then just building the whole foundation behind everything that my channel is about, again, in financial education itself. It kind of breaks down the barriers of what you learn as a student of like the indoctrinated school system versus as a student of what you actually want in life. This is not in any order as far as rank from least to best or first to last, whatever, but this is probably my number one book, and I recommend it to every starter in the game. Next book that I have is Everyday Millionaires by Chris Hogan. This is a favorite of mine. This book puts into perspective just how easy it is for you to actually accomplish your goal, especially if your goal is to be a millionaire. This book gives real life data and real life situations and scenarios in which people who are just like me and you, again, in the title, Everyday Millionaires, that have actually accomplished those goals. And it makes it seem simple, but it's not really simple. Or it makes it seem easy, but it's not really easy, but it is simple. And if you can grasp the things that are going on in this book, then this will help you. The breakdown of this really is lifestyle choices and seeing the real life situations that you can compare yourself to and actually walk into. The next book is kind of a sequel, and this book is another Robert Kiyosaki book. I'm currently kind of going through these books and making study guides for myself and anybody else who eventually will want to read the book. But this book right here kind of breaks down more theories about what Robert Kiyosaki has talked about in any of his other books. And I got this book recommended to me, again, by a ton of people. And it really took the Rich Dad, Poor Dad to another level. This book kind of will help you find your passion in whatever it is and give you an outline of why you should pursue what you should pursue and when you should pursue it. The whole breakdown I got in this is I don't need to quit everything I'm doing to do what I love, but I need to invest in what I love. And that goes a long ways when it comes to talking about the goals that we're going to be discussing in this channel. So again, this isn't in any rank either, but I highly recommend this one as well. This next one, Playing with Fire, is a little bit unorthodox book. I think it's written for Generation Z. We are what they call the FIRE generation, and as you see, this is an acronym. Financially independent, retire early, and this will kind of give you the breakdown of that whole theory and kind of where you are and how to walk and go about it. But I highly recommend it for Generation Z, especially people that are like me and you, which most of my audience will be around my age, I'm thinking. Will definitely relate to this one. This is a good one. This book right here is probably what started it all for me. I had no clue that I was interested in financial education the way I am now until I read this one, and I wouldn't even classify this one right here as a complete financial education book. It's a self-help book as well, and it's not just talking about think and grow rich as far as your pockets, but just in your mindset and just how you do everything daily. This is, again, another one that comes highly recommended by me. The author, I mean, he's great. Napoleon Hill is all over the place. You've probably seen some of his books in other places, but I highly recommend this one as well. This one, again, can apply to many topics, not just ones that we're talking about here. The last actual copy I have is The Millionaire Next Door, and I read this book in and out. I've actually had this book stolen from me twice, so this is my third copy. I highly recommend this one as well. Thomas J. Stanley was a doctor of education, and he was probably one of the most far ahead in his generation, like type guys in the whole question of all of these things that we're doing. He gave real life stats and information on real life people that kind of sprung forward the whole financial world, and this changed the game. I'm not going to talk too much about it just because it gets into some pretty crazy details, but some of the stats that I have written down here, he just kind of breaks down the wall to help you realize how accomplishable becoming a millionaire is. And some of those stats are 80% of millionaires are first generation rich, so meaning that they weren't given a dime from the beginning of the time that they inherited or that they came forward with their money to the time they died. They didn't inherit anything. It was all created in their generation. One of the things that 20% of millionaires are retired, which is pretty much so what we think about a lot of the time. So a lot of these guys are 401k millionaires, IRA millionaires that have just slowly grown their wealth over time, which is something that I do believe in and highly recommend as well. And 50% are business owners, and not just business owners as in like big corporate business or anything like that. We're talking about blue collar workers. So like plumbers, electricians, things like that have taken their businesses to another level, which are pretty easy to scale. And so in that, I would say I push tech school and learning a trade as well, because a lot of those guys turn out to be millionaires. They have inexpensive schooling and education. They learn a trade that's worth something, and then they expand and 10x their business as quickly as possible and reach that millionaire status. And again, some of the other things that it goes over is talking about how millionaires budget, they don't buy new cars, and they live below their means. And these are all things that I will preach as well. This book is another pillar that I can't get away from. It gives me a lot of information that has set me up for financial success. Another book that I highly recommend is The Richest Man in Babylon. And in this book, it's about a guy who realizes that the people need to be financially educated. So kind of the same theory as me, and it didn't really have any influence over this channel, but I do agree with a lot of the things in this. And there's one guy in Babylon that is very, very wealthy, and this guy goes to this very wealthy man and lets him know that, hey, you need to educate your people on how you got to this point in your life. And he kind of goes through how his whole process and teaches these people. And he was, again, like a lot of us, he was not born wealthy, he was not spoon-fed, and he gives a list of 7 principles that really stuck out to me to help him get to where he was. And this is a big deal because a lot of millionaires that I've come across and a lot of successful people overall that I've come across haven't even read this book, but live by these same principles that are discussed in this book. The next book is another book that I don't have on hand, is The Intelligent Investor. I also had this one stole from me, but this book is by Ben Graham. And if you don't know who Ben Graham is probably the GOAT of all GOATs. Ben Graham is the mentor of Warren Buffett. And if you don't know who Warren Buffett is, you also live under a rock. He is the 2nd or 3rd richest man in the world right now, and he's probably known as the greatest investor of all time. You want to talk about building wealth slowly and the right way, he has done it the right way. Sitting over $100 billion and doing nothing but probably sitting behind a desk and collecting dividends from stock that he owns and things of that nature. He is probably the best there is when it comes to investors. So in this book, he kind of discusses where he learns a lot of the stuff, or not where he learns, but in a sense where he learns a lot of the stuff from Ben Graham, who is the owner of the title that we're talking about. But he talks about value investing, long-term profits, and then he teaches active investors how to kind of go about being an active investor. He also talks about never trusting the market and goes over some modern day things such as FOMO, fear of missing out, which is a lot of what goes on now, which is why people won't buy Bitcoin until it's super popular, and then it's too expensive to buy and you can't really afford exactly what it is. Another book that I enjoyed was Total Money Makeover. I don't recommend this to everybody, but I do recommend this if you don't have a whole lot of information on finances at all. Stock back in your head. This book is for people who have messed up, and those who haven't. But as we all know, it's by Dave Ramsey, and as we all know, he's kind of an extremist. I don't agree with everything he says, but he has some really good stuff, and he can whip you into shape really fast. The last book is Bogglehead's Guide to Investing. I don't have that one on file either, but Bogglehead's Guide to Investing is a really good book. It is written by John Bogle. And if you don't know who John Bogle is, it's okay. I know who he is. He is another goat amongst goats. He is the founder of Vanguard. Vanguard is an index fund. It's been around for a long time, super successful. And in this book, he teaches basically the long-term investing theory in index investing or lazy investing, which a lot of people call. And in my opinion, a lazy investor is a good investor. And this gives you some good background knowledge on all of that. So with that being said, that is the last book. There's a lot of books that I also highly recommend outside of this, and I'll go over some more of those later. I've read a lot of them. Some of them I haven't got to yet, but with that being said, I will be reading and I probably will be doing some more reviews. Some of these books I'll review individually just because they were that good and deserve that. And I kind of want you guys to know that where the information is coming from that I'm passing on. I also feel that if I'm going to do the research, and you guys will hopefully build trust in me as this goes, and you won't have to necessarily go do the research yourself, I can just kind of relay it to you, and that's a big deal to me. So with that being said, like, share, subscribe, follow me, my links, and go look at everything that I have posted, and I'll be uploading to here pretty often. I'm thinking about a weekly schedule. You guys give me feedback in the comments and let me know. Until then, I'll see you next time.